kids! So a while ago, Steph Sognati posted a video in which she talked about trans people naming themselves, and she talked a bit about the process by which she herself came to that. If you don't know who Steph is, you really should watch her content because she is so good. I wanted to talk a bit about my recommendations for trans people and non-binary people who don't like the label of trans, and I guess cis people, for choosing a different name. And then also my process of picking the name Azaria. So I have a couple of recommendations. Tip 0. Names consist of a first name, middle name, and last name. Change as many or as few of those as you want to. Personally, if I ever legally actually change any of my name, it's just going to be my first name. Colloquially, so culturally, just in conversation, it's basically the equivalency of a nickname. Some people change the whole thing. Plenty of people, specifically women, just change their last names when they get married. Recommendation number 1. Literally do not care what anybody else has to say about your name. It is your name alone. You can ask for other people's opinions, that's fine. If you really want to, you can ask like what your parents would have named you if you had been assigned male at birth, or you can ask your friends, hey, what do you think of this name, or whatever. Plenty of people do that. You can ask your parents, hey, what were some other names you had? But ultimately it comes down to you. You're the one who's gonna have to live with it for the rest of your life. And the name change process is expensive, so if you're gonna actually legally change it, make it a name that is worth purchasing, because it kind of is a purchase. You're buying the legal documentation. Don't care what anybody else has to say, unless that's really something that you care about. Tip number 2, pick something that sounds comfortable to you. Disregard any preconceptions you have about a masculine name or a feminine name, or what's too girly, or what's too boyish, or what's too gender neutral, or whatever. Literally none of that matters. If you're a trans girl and you like the name Rock or Jake, pick those names. Pick whatever name you want. This kind of goes back to tip number 1, where I said don't care about what anybody else says, but this is more like don't care about what society says. Pick the name that makes you comfortable. Pick what you like. But also, take the time to figure out what you like. If you need a placeholder name, that's okay. If you really want, you can pick a name that isn't even really a name. I read a comment under Steph's video where someone was like, I picked the name Sparrow because why not? And I'm like, yeah, alright, Sparrow. People call themselves Ace. The Rock calls himself The Rock. People call themselves all sorts of things. A name is just a bunch of sounds that indicate you. Like, as long as it's not a slur or like an offensive term, then call yourself whatever you want. Scarlet's a color, jade's a color, emerald's a color, onyx is a color. These are all names. You can call yourself whatever you want. Tip number 3, it's okay if it takes a long time. And this kind of is a good segue to my story, because it took me a long time to figure out what I wanted to be called. Like, this is what you're gonna maybe be called for the rest of your life. And it's okay if you cycle through a bunch of different names. It is okay. Take as much time as you need. Take as many names as you need. Steph said she went through a process where she gathered a bunch of names and she would just write them down, try them out in like the shower. She would cross one off at a time off her list. It took her like months to get through until she eventually settled on Stephanie. Tip tip number 3.5, specifically for cis people, I'm not gonna say that you have to be trans if you change your name. But I'm just saying if you are changing your name to something that's more aligned with the opposite binary gender, or more gender neutral, then I would encourage you to investigate the world of gender that exists underneath the trans umbrella. You can still be cis and change your name. You can be cis and use pronouns that do not align with the gender you are assigned at birth. You could be cis and do things that look similar to what a lot of trans people do during transition. You can do all sorts of things, but I would encourage you to investigate and see. That's all. Now I'm going to talk about how I came upon Azaria. So, my birth name begins with a J. Not telling you what it is. And my birth nickname begins with an A. Not telling you what that is, but I knew I wanted to keep the A of the birth nickname, both for family reasons and because then I could sort of be stealth when I'd be like writing papers in school. I could sign them as a last name, which is what I do every day on my EP Calc homework. I'm just like, a last name. I spent over a year searching for a name. I tried a host of names. I tried masculine names, feminine names, gender neutral names. I tried a whole bunch. Initially, I was just limiting myself to a name, so I tried Amethyst and Alex and Agnes and Abernathy and Aaron and Avi and Ariana and Alexandra and so many. I can't remember all the A names. And then I broadened my search because I'm like, this is stupid. There are none that are working here. So then I was trying Bernadette and Bartholomew and Beatrice and Steve and Levi and Liam and Chuck and Clarice and Tobias and so many more that I just cannot remember. And I would cycle through names. It seemed like almost weekly or even daily I would find a name and discard it like half an hour after I found it. I'd be like, okay, and I wouldn't tell anybody. I have a friend from church who is also non-binary. There's a video of them on my YouTube channel, actually. So have fun looking for that video. And I told them one day, I was like, I will tell you when I find the name. And this whole time I never told them any of the names that I came across. I'm just like, I'm waiting. So I was just personally looking at these things. It was taking far too long. And I know a year is not a long time in the grand scheme of things, but I had only really known I was non-binary for about 2 years. And I'd only felt this desire to change my name for 13 months. The 12 months were the only time I'd been looking. So I'd given up hope. I was like, there's no name. And then I was in the van on the way to the most important church trip of my life, which I actually made a video about. The trip was called Emerge. And I was in the van with my best friend, the non-binary best friend, and a summer intern who didn't really like queer people. And I started reading the Book of Daniel, and I came across the name Azaria, which was the Hebrew name of Abednego. If you're not familiar with the Book of Daniel, one of the stories is about these people named Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who are like Daniel's helpers, and well, those are their Persian names, and they get sent into this starry furnace. But Azariah means God helps. I read it. I read it again. I said it out loud, Azariah. I turned to my friend. I read it out loud. I looked back at it, I turned to her, and I was like, I found it, I found my name. And she said it, and I'm like, that's what it sounds like. I knew. It took me 5 seconds once I found it. It took me like a week to drop this H, so now it's just Azaria, because originally it had an H. And that's kind of the only thing I wish didn't happen. Because there are some days I feel it's too feminine, Azaria versus Azaria. But whatever. I'm not too bothered by it, and I won't change it now because that's too much of a hassle and like rebranding. And I like it for 3 reasons. Reason number 1, it means God helps, and God has helped me so much, and he will continue to do so, I believe. Reason number 2, Azariah, the biblical character, it is Azariah's name. It is his name, whether or not the Persian king would acknowledge it. No matter what he renames him, whether it was Abednego, or my birth name, or whatever anybody called him, his name was always Azariah. Just like my name always is Azariah, no matter what anybody else calls me. And reason number 3, when I met Rusty Clanton, he told me it sounded really cool, like somebody with a sword. And Tessa Violet told me it sounded really cool too, when I met her the same night. So, that's a bit about naming yourself, and the story of how I got my name. So, I hope that is useful somehow, and I hope you have a great day.